Plenty of people have plenty of things to say about the president's tweets. We hear from a lot of you about it. Cognitive linguist George Lakoff sees the tweets as the president's way to shape the news and says that they fall into 4 buckets. He calls it preemptive framing, diversion, deflection, and trial balloons. Diversion via tweet is one of the president's signature tactics, such as when President Trump tweeted that many people booed the NFL players who kneeled yesterday, just as the Graham-Cassidy health care bill was dying in the Senate and the candidate he was backing was about to lose the Alabama Senate runoff at the time. Folks, President Trump sent 16 tweets yesterday and another one this morning, including one that suggested jailing crooked Hillary Clinton's top aide, Huma Abedin, one taking aim at the, quote, most dishonest and corrupt media, and one taunting North Korea that he has a much bigger and more powerful nuclear button. Joining me now is the creator of this Trump tweet taxonomy. It's cognitive linguist and UC Berkeley professor emeritus George Lakoff. Mr. Lakoff, been a while. It's good to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
A pleasure to be here, Chuck.
All right, let me start with your taxonomy here and ask you sort of, in light of, you put all this out, and this was before the Bannon explosion that took place later today. And now I look at this tweet storm that he went on over the last 48 hours, and I ask you, how do you, what you don't categorize here in your taxonomy is there something of when he goes on a tweet storm where the tweet storm itself is actually one of the buckets, is the 5th bucket, which is just throw anything at the wall and see what sticks and diverts?
That's the 4th. That's the trial balloon. Mm-hmm. But it's basically a diversion in many cases, as it was in this case. But it's mainly his way to control the media. When the media talks about his tweets and repeats what's in them over and over, he is controlling the media. Whether it's by framing first and framing things his way, then the media repeats his frame, or by setting a diversion, then the media accepts the diversion and doesn't do what the real news is.
You seem to ascribe a lot of strategy behind these tweets. Many people that know this man personally, and this new book by Michael Wolff actually seems to confirm what a lot of us have concluded in our dealings with him. There's never strategy. It's immediate. It's reactionary. That there is no grand strategy about it. Do you worry you're ascribing too much strategy here?
Not at all. He's a master salesman. He's been at it for 50 years. Everything he does is strategic to sell himself, to market himself. And this is one way that he markets himself, by controlling the media.
Is there a way you could make an argument that his tweeting is actually why he's so unpopular? That the reason he's sitting in the low to mid 30s and not in the low to mid 40s or even higher than that due to this economy, shall we say, if you went by conventional metric, it is due to the tweeting. So on one hand, you seem to say he's controlling the narrative, but it also seems to be doing serious damage to his brand.
Not at all. His brand has never gone that high. His brand has been 37 plus or minus 2 the whole time, which is standard for right-wing conservatives since the Gold War.
Even a negative brand?
It's a brand that is really strong with 37 plus or minus 2 people, and and can pick up another 10 or 12 points with people who are partly that view. It's what I call strict father morality. And there are a lot of people in this country who have it.
You seem to think that he sort of has words that he knows how to sort of strike a chord with a certain part of that 37%, that they're trigger words. What are some examples?
Well, almost everything he talks about. Winning is one example. Putting down people who are seen to be below him, or not doing what he sees as the right thing in the world. And there's a whole moral hierarchy that he has that is shared with his base. Attacking immigrants, for example, is one of them. Putting the wealthy above the poor is another, and so on. There are many, many trigger, not just by words, but ideas.
And you seem to get into the debate here, and frankly, we have this debate ourselves every single day in our own newsroom, which is how much coverage to get these tweets. That you get these tweets, and you would like to see less coverage of the Twitter feed. You have made that abundantly clear. How? How do you do that with the president?
Let's take it right now. Right now, President Trump is in a noose. It's the money laundering noose that's tightening around his neck. It shows up not just in Bannon's point about money laundering, and also in the Fusion point about money laundering in the New York Times op-ed today, but also in the fact that the main money launderer, your colleague Cavalaja, was at the Trump Jr. meeting in Trump Tower. He's the eighth man there. He is the major person who has been responsible for money laundering from Russia and other post-Soviet countries. And in addition, he set up over 2,000 phony shell corporations with bank accounts, and helped use that money in the bank accounts for the people doing the money laundering from Russia to get luxury apartments and luxury condos. The fact that he was invited by Trump Jr. to that meeting indicates that Trump Jr. knew him well.
Right,
and
I understand. So what you're saying is on the tweet front, though, not covering the tweets. So you wanted to take examples. So what you're saying is you believe all of the tweet storm in the last 2 days is all about providing air cover to distract from this money laundering news.
The whole thing is distracting from money laundering and from the fact that Cavalaja has been summoned both by Mueller and by congressional committees.
Fair enough. George Lakoff, a linguist professor. We used to have you on quite a bit when you were on this side of the coast. At Hoya Land there, but I see you're enjoying the West Coast. Thanks for coming on and sharing your views. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Chuck.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.